This Week in Startups is brought to you by Wistia. Create your free Wistia account today and get started hosting your videos in just minutes at wistia.com/twist. And Squarespace. Start building your website today at squarespace.com. Enter offer code TWIST at checkout to get 10% off.
So robots are coming. In fact, my daughter built a robot for her science fair this year. And I'd like to bring out Alex, Henry, and Deepak right now, who are all working on creating robots that will serve us. Come on out, everybody. And let's have a frank discussion about the robots that are coming. Actually, the robots are here.
Yeah.
And here are the robot overlords. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
All right. So, by the way, Alex, the pizza's good. I ate some pizza yesterday.
How'd you feel after you ate it?
Felt like $1 million.
Did you get a pizza coma?
No, I didn't go to pizza coma.
You know the pizza's half the calories of a Domino's pizza, half the cholesterol, half the fat.
How did you do that? Just recipe science? Or?
Well, you know what? They put almost a cup of sugar in every pizza they make to make the dough rise faster and to make the sauce less expensive. And it turns out if you just make it with tomatoes, it's really good for you.
Ah. Very nice. All right, so we're going to do this in an order here. Can we show the video of the first video, which I think is Alex's kitchen, and we'll see robots making pizza. You started this project when, Alex?
September of 2015.
2015.
Yeah.
And what was the genesis of this idea of robots? You can play the robot kitchen. We'll just talk over it when it comes up.
What was the idea? So I actually ended up sitting next to the guy who owned the largest chain of Pizza Huts on the West Coast on an airplane about 7 years ago. And I lived in that conversation. I thought, this person isn't particularly competitive, and maybe I should learn more about pizza. So after looking at the industry, I realized there was a big opportunity. And long story short, it started with cooking food while it was being delivered. And then I thought, hey, you can automate a lot of the process. And you can capture the surplus margin and you can reinvest it in really high quality food. And so there was this reciprocal exercise in optimizing the production process, which lets us have fewer employees, but we pay them really, really well, and they're all shareholders in the company, and then we have much higher quality food, which leads to no pizza coma.
Okay, so what we've seen here is they worked the dough, but the sauce was put on by machine. They put on the cheese, and now I guess it's going.
Well, this is actually an old video, so it turns out that dough is now automated.
Oh, so pounding of the dough is automated.
Yeah, so we have a progressive approach to automating this. So eventually, this whole facility will be fully automated. But rather than waiting to complete a huge monolith, we're just doing it in stages.
And the picking up of the pizza and putting it in the oven, obviously, is a robotic arm.
Yeah.
How much does that robotic arm cost?
So that work cell costs about $100,000, and the payback for that is about it's like a year, 1.1 years. And after that, it's completely paid off and fully capitalized.
When you look at a robot that's that expensive and strong, it's picking up like a 1 pound pizza. What is it capable of?
So that's actually interesting. So the end of arm tool actually is quite heavy. So you need a robot that's really reasonably large to hold the end of arm tool. The pizza itself is pretty straightforward. But
what is the end of arm tool? It looks like a tractor.
It's a conveyor. We were the first people in the world to put a conveyor on the end of a 6-axis bot. Oddly enough.
A 6-axis bot.
So yeah, that arm's a 6-axis robot arm.
Got it.
So now look, we could have made a piece of food equipment that would have done the same job, but then you'd have no flexibility. And it would have taken months to get it certified and approved and everything else. We were able to deploy that bot in like a month.
And so the pizzeria will have it'll have no humans doing the making of the pizza eventually.
So first of all, we have only commissary kitchens. We don't have pizzerias. We're delivery only.
Right.
But the goal is on the production process to have that be fully automated.
Let's see the truck now, because this was interesting. I was at a poker game, and a friend of mine was like, I'm thinking of investing in this company. They're going to send the truck over.
This is one of those infamous Silicon Valley stories, literally.
So we're in the poker game, and this truck pulls up in Atherton, and we all go out, and we all start eating pizza out of the truck. So explain what we're seeing here.
Actually, it was this gentleman, I think he was driving the truck.
It was actually,
It's Nick Medina. So the key innovation originally was cooking the pizza while it's being delivered, because I thought in the beginning it would give you a 15-minute delivery advantage, and there's many other advantages, it turns out. But basically, the system turns the ovens on when it knows it's about 4.5 minutes away from your home, and they start cooking, and they finish cooking exactly as it pulls up to the curb, so you get pizzeria fresh pizza. And one of the innovations is it's faster, but there's literally hundreds of other good things that come out of doing that.
Including?
Well, for example, we're the only pizzeria concept in the world that can put 100 catering pizzas hot on the table at an office. Nobody else can do that.
Or you can come to a conference and just bang.
Or we could come to a conference and sell 130 pizzas out of the truck. And
you came up with new packaging. What was the concept there? Is it just for show, or is it some purpose?
No, the problem with corrugated pizza boxes is that there's several things. First of all, the high-end ones use a chemical that causes ALS, which is probably good to try and avoid.
Okay.
And the second thing is that when you put pizza on a flat surface, the moisture passing through the pizza pools and makes the crust really soggy. And then the third thing, and this is where we get into some of the nuances of cooking en route, in order to have a food delivery vehicle, and that's what those trucks are, they're not food trucks. They're actually legally allowed to prepare food while they're moving. They're the first ones in the world who can do that. You need to have certain things going on in the truck, and I wanted to avoid having a 3-compartment sink because it takes up a lot of room. But in order to do that, you can't have any smallwares. No pizza cutters, no spatulas. In order to do that, we had to make the pizzas eject out of the oven into a package, and we had to cut them in the box with a special pizza cutter that we designed that cleans itself after every cut. Okay? Lots of down the rabbit hole stuff here. But in the end, we had to have a symbiotic relationship between the pizza cooking method, the pizza box, and the pizza cutter, so we designed our own.
All right, Henry, we met over email 2 years ago. You sent me an email, and in it was a video of your robotic coffee machine, which we should play the Henry video, and we'll see it in operation. What was in that video, and what was my response?
The first video we showed you was kind of similar to this. It was our first prototype in Hong Kong.
In Hong Kong?
Yeah, and the response was, is this a joke?
Yeah, I didn't know if it was real or not. Yeah.
Right. And then I think I sent you a photo of us actually building it.
Right.
So, yeah.
You proved it. Was that a joke, or had you fudged that as well? No, it was real.
I have scars from cutting myself with sheet metal.
So you built this 2 years ago or so, a prototype. You came to the incubator. You had 2 of these built, I think.
Yeah.
Last year here at the Launch Festival, you won. Congratulations. What happened since then? Give us a little update on what happened since then.
Yeah. After Launch Festival, we raised a $3 million seed round, so that was very good. And then we moved the company from Hong Kong to San Francisco. So a bunch of new people and some old people. We deployed this one at Metreon. Well, it was ready to go 8 months ago, but we spent a lot of time getting the right permit from the health department.
What is that when you go to the health department and you say, we're going to start a robotic coffee machine, does the person look over their glasses and say, get the out of here?
Well, actually, they just don't respond because they don't know what to call it.
So you had a classification problem.
Yeah.
So they didn't know if you were a vending machine. There were coffee vending machines that made powdered coffee before with powdered milk that were disgusting.
Right.
We've all subjected ourselves to that once and never again, which is why you don't see them. And then there are obviously full-service cafes. Where do you sit?
So we use all the same ingredients as any premium cafe. So the milk is Clover organic whole milk. It's the same milk you get at a Blue Bottle or a Ritual. And so in California, if you are a vending machine, there's a law that says you can't serve fresh milk. So therefore,
vending machines can't serve fresh milk,
regardless if you have any kind of health certifications, which we have all of them.
Right.
So it's not a vending machine.
Well, regardless of the fact that a robot can be programmed to not make mistakes and have a much lower error rate, i.e. would not serve bad milk, at a much lower rate than a human.
Yeah.
So despite that, you have to be the first person up the hill and educate each region.
Yeah.
The one in the Metreon has done quite well. You're serving a couple 100 cups a day or something?
Yeah. That's doing decently. I think it gets more busy when there's a conference because it's next to Moscone.
Right.
And then we have a few more locations opening up in the next few months, all in San Francisco. And then also a few are going to some tech companies in this area.
Hey everybody, let me tell you about an amazing product and service I use. It's called Wistia. Video is super important. You're watching this video right now. And we do lots of video for our incubator. This is one of my great secrets. We record every incubator session. Why? Well, because recording video is not expensive anymore. We have all the equipment anyway. Then we put it behind a password-protected firewall and an intranet.
Then the people who are on the incubator can go in and watch the videos and study them. Now, here's where it gets interesting. We have an audit trail. We know when each of the people in the incubator have watched their video, and we require that they watch the video, and we can actually see that they've watched it once, twice, or 3 times, and we can post comments on the video. So I will go in and annotate a video for one of the companies and say, hey, at this point in your presentation, you notice you didn't have numbers to back up your claim. You might want to add a number or a chart at this point. Hey, this part of the presentation, you were telling us about your product, but you weren't showing us the product. Why don't you do a little product demo here? And I can put those very specific notes in to the video. This is a video created for under 30 or 40 people, but it's incredibly effective. Video is one of those tools that people in business don't think about that often, but that is super powerful. And I know you're probably thinking about it because you need a solution that is not messy and janky, and where the platform is trying to get more people to watch ads. You want a clean, crisp version of your video for your website, and that's what you use Wistia for. It is industrial strength video for business. Who else uses Wistia? MailChimp, Moz, HubSpot, Zendesk, Herman Miller, Sam Adams, and they have grown to over 330 user accounts. When they started as a partner on This Week in Startups 2 years ago, they only had 50,000. And they give you, again, amazing analytics like we talked about. They let you capture emails. So now we have, I think, 80 or 90,000 emails on our email list. And every week we get a couple of hundred more. And that adds up over time. And when you create a very deep relationship with people, and it doesn't have to be forced. You can just say, hey, would you like to get information on the next episode or come to a live This Week in Startups? Give us your email. And you can have a skip button there. Or you could require the email for people to watch your video. It's up to you. You have the power with Wistia. It integrates with 20 email and marketing automation tools, and you can share your videos with everyone on your list. Tons of resources to help you get off the ground, like what microphones to use and putting video and email together and building a lighting setup for $100. Their blog is amazing at Wistia. And you can create a free Wistia account today and start hosting your videos in minutes. Just go to wistia.com/twist. Wistia.com/twist. I love this company. It's awesome. We use it ourselves.
Alex, how did you deal with the regulations? You were doing this down in Palo Alto, I believe.
Yeah, we're in Mountain View, Santa Clara County. So in our case,
what happened that first time you walked in and said, I'm building a robotic pizza place?
Well, it's funny. So we need federal, state, and local approvals because we're actually the only manufacturer of mobile cooking appliances in the world. So it's a pretty complicated regulatory environment, which we've figured out now. But directly responding to your question, when we walked into Santa Clara County and we said, hey, we want to cook pizza while it's being delivered, there was a little bit of this. But my amazing co-founder, Julia Collins, started her career with a food truck in New York City and is a master of getting through all of the permitting challenges with the municipalities. So we just took the time to educate them. It was a really long process. We built great relationships at the federal.
How long did it take?
I think
from day one to day.
It took us about, it was 8 months and 3 days before we started, from the day we started the company to the day we went to market. And so we knew that regulatory issues were going to be a challenge, so we started them pretty much on day one.
Seems pretty fast. Henry, how long did it take you?
It took us 8 months and maybe 3 or 4 days just for after the product is ready.
Right.
Yeah. So.
Okay. So now let's play Deepak's. Is it Deepak? I got it
Yes.
right. Okay. Let's play Deepak's video. Now you are not making pizza or coffee. For some godforsaken reason, you want us to be healthy. So if on Fridays after I've eaten pizza for 4 days and drank way too much espresso, I'm going to go to this salad machine and do what?
You can customize your own salad. You know how when you go to office cafeteria today, you have hundreds of people with dirty hands, some of them with colds, touch the spoons in the food. And it's a health hazard, really. And with Sally, the end customer doesn't touch the food. Our robot's called Sally. And you know the exact calories of the salad you're making before you make it. So it's a lot more healthy as well. Our recipes were developed by...
Wow, she is in shock. She cannot believe that you have croutons.
No, she's
You know what I love
shocked
about this is it's like when you see like Patrick's video from Stripe, and it's like it was made by Marty Scorsese, and like they spent $400,000 on it. You spent $4,000 on this. You're a startup. I get it, but like that is the worst acting I've ever seen in a startup video. It's fantastic.
Yeah, I spent $1,500 on it.
$1,500. Yeah. You may want to get the $600 back from her. I'm just joking. She was like.
She didn't believe cheese had so many calories.
She couldn't believe that because she put the Russian dressing on. Okay, so your machine.
Yes.
is for offices specifically right now.
It's meant for offices and restaurants. One of our investors owns 15 McDonald's stores as well.
And so what has your journey been in terms of regulation to getting this ready?
Yeah, so we like taking shortcuts in a good way. So the vending machine business needs a lot of regulatory approval, So what we're doing is we're first going after offices which have cafeterias already. And there it's just a piece of food equipment. We're not putting a credit card reader in there initially. And so it's just another piece of food equipment. As long as we get National Sanitation Foundation approval, we're good. And we've been working with them the past year. And it's been much smoother than these two stories I heard.
So what does that machine cost for a company to have? Do you charge by the machine? Do you charge by the salad? How do you charge?
Yeah,
I want to put that in my
model
company.
is what I call a SaaS model, a salad as a service model.
Okay.
So people pay us. People pay us $700 a month. That's $4 an hour.
Yeah.
And
wait, what do they pay you?
$700 a month.
Okay.
$4 an hour. That's essentially $4 an hour, and they can use the
$4
machine.
a salad?
No,
an hour.
See, because
you
it's
charge
$4
them
an hour.
for the machine?
I charge them for the machine.
$700 a month.
$700 a month.
They fill it themselves.
80% of offices in the US have their cafeterias managed by 4 companies, Compass, Aramark, Sodexo, and Guggenheimer. We're working with all 4 of them. And these guys would refill the machines with fresh ingredients every day. Having fresh food is a key part of our brand. And so
so you provide the machine for $10,000 a year, $9,000 a year, basically, in that range.
That. Yeah.
And that saves them what?
So if you look at an office today, right, there's so many offices which cannot afford a cafeteria because the cafeteria has high fixed cost, and people go out for lunch and come back. So let's take an office with a $120,000 average salary per year. So if 40 people go out for lunch and come back, and you look at the cost of ownership benefit out of having something like Sally, where they can just walk to their kitchen and get a fresh salad. The cost of ownership benefit comes around $12,000 a month because of the cost of the employee's time. If just 5 employees every evening decide to work 2 extra hours because there's dinner available from a Sally in their office, the value of that comes to $12,000 a month. So compared to all that, $700 a month is peanuts, and so we've got a really positive response.
But it does require somebody to fill it up, obviously. And it's refrigerated or not?
It's refrigerated. It's completely fresh. So it's a lot more hygienic than a salad bar. So we're seeing a lot of interest in hospitals, because if there's one person who's sick who touches a salad bar in a hospital...
I'll never go to a salad bar, ever. You know why? I'm from New York. If you've ever gone and seen a salad bar in New York, or you've watched the local news, there all kinds of bad things have happened at salad bars. You know the stories. I don't have to repeat them.
Yeah.
But I'm going to. No, a guy literally went to salad bars in New York and sprayed fecal material on the salad bars.
Well, it doesn't need...
They caught him on video.
Let me give you an even worse statistic, right?
Yeah.
There are surveys which...
There's no worse statistic.
There is.
Nope.
There are surveys which show 50 to 70% of people don't always wash their hands. And
that's for sure true. But not everybody decides to spray the fecal material on other people's food. Okay, hey, Squarespace is amazing. I saw Anthony last week when I was in New York, and Squarespace has a beautiful new headquarters. I'm going to do a book launch party there in July. Look for that. But we build websites all the time here at This Week in Startups, and for all of our podcasts, for all of our events. And when we need to pop up these event websites, I just go, hey guys, buy this domain, pop up the website. It's up in an hour or 2. I'm sorry, it's up in 10 minutes, but it's designed and fully up with the writing and everything we need to have on it in the same day. To me, that's a revelation, because the sites look so beautiful and it costs so little. The tools to build these websites are so easy, and it's very intuitive. So when one team member learns how to do it, they literally just lean over and say, hey, click here, and here's your login. And the other person's like, yeah, you don't need to tell me. It's obvious. That's how great website building has become thanks to Squarespace. It's the state-of-the-art technology. It's secure. It's stable. It's trusted by millions, including some of the most respected brands in the world, including Launch.
They are amazing. I love Squarespace. You can start your free trial today. No credit card is required. That's how confident they are. And you'll get a free domain if you sign up for a year. If you decide to keep your Squarespace, use the offer code TWIST and get 10% off your first purchase. That's right. If you decide to use Squarespace beyond the trial, just use TWIST and you get 10% off your first purchase. You'll get that domain name free as well. It is a fantastic product. If you know anybody in your circle who has to build a website, instead of trying to do this all yourself, just point them to Squarespace and you will not be disappointed.
So the obvious criticism of all of this is jobs. And so how, Alex, do you look at the replacement of menial jobs? You telegraphed it a bit with the people we do have, we pay well, and we are increasing the quality of ingredients at the same time keeping costs the same. What is your pizza cost at Zume Pizza? Z-U-M-E. Zume.
Z-U-M-E.
What does a pizza cost compared to a Domino's?
Our pizzas range from $10 to $25.
Okay.
But our actual check average is lower than it is a Domino's. So if you do a direct comparison, a large Domino's and a large Zume, by the time it's in your hands, Zume is actually cheaper than Domino's.
Got it. But it's all fresh ingredients.
100% organic, fresh, never frozen, non-GMO, ethically raised and slaughtered meats, no nitrates, no stabilizers, oxidizers, anything.
As a society, health goes up.
Yep.
Convenience goes up.
Yep.
Cost stays the same. So that's a massive value advantage for society.
Cost to the consumer stays the same. Our costs go down, our margins go up, and we reinvest a lot of that into our employees. So I use that as a segue. So there's this great debate that we're all about to be part of around the automation of labor and the consequence of that to the way we work and to how it impacts us as workers. Right. Everyone in this room will be affected by it, and everyone you know will be affected by it. So the discussion starts with executives, and the question that you're going to need to tackle is, what will you do with the captured surplus? The fact that you will automate, that's inevitable, you'll have no choice. But what will you do with the captured surplus? And we're trying to start that discussion by setting a good example. So here's what we do. Every employee in our company makes a minimum of $15 an hour. For example, our drivers make 18. The average wage in the kitchen is $16.31. Every employee has full medical dental vision for them and for their families with no copay. And every employee, when they hit their 6-month mark, becomes a shareholder, and we actually backdate their vesting to the day they start. Don't backprice it, but we backdate it. And we're creating opportunities for people that are really changing the way that their families are developing economically, and that's really inspiring. Now, it's true that we're going to have fewer employees in total, but the jobs that we're creating are much higher quality. And frankly, if you do an apples-to-apples comparison in the pizza business, I'll take drivers, for example. They make a minimum wage. They have to provide their own car and their own uniform. They don't get a mileage stipend. It's the third most dangerous job in the US right now, according to the census. And
because they're racing to hit that.
Well, it's the way they have to drive. And you can be summoned into an anonymous transaction carrying cash, a pizza, and a car. And there's parts of the country where that's really unsafe. An interesting statistic, and I don't know if this is representative of this or not, but 50% of our we call them pilots, P-I-E-L-O-T-S, pilots. 50% of our pilot fleet are women, which is really amazing. And if you ask people, when was the last time you remember having a lady deliver your pizza? A lot of people have trouble remembering that. And having delivered hundreds of deliveries myself, when you show up at someone's house late at night, it's dark outside, and a mother with 3 kids answers the door, it's actually a really great positive experience if it's not always a guy showing up with that delivery, right?
Right.
And we're able to do that because the way we deliver is inherently a lot safer, and it's a much, much higher quality job that's better than somebody would be able to get somewhere else.
Henry, how do you deal with the critique that, hey, there's a lot of baristas. Obviously, some people will always want to go to a cafe, but how are you doing this essential? How are you thinking about it? Because I know the coffee is $1 cheaper, I believe, on average. So the consumer, in Alex's case, is getting more value and quality for the same price. In your case, they're getting better quality, but you actually drop the price 25%.
Yeah. Well, several things. I think at the Metreon, for example, if you go there, we always have someone there. So there's a big kind of hospitality element to Cafe X. So we always have product specialists at all the locations. And we plan to keep doing that because if it gives people a better experience, that's what we'll do.
So you'll still have employees.
Yeah.
You're just not going to have an employee frothing milk for a living.
The machine froths the milk. The employee is there to, like if you go to a restaurant, a waiter will come by and explain the menu, tell you about the ingredients, give you an experience to try the different coffees we have if you like. So we can do all of that stuff. Plus, if they're there to take care of the machine, we have to clean it once in the morning, once at night before we close. And so on the retail/hospitality side, we still need to hire quite a lot of people there. But also for each machine, it's a manufactured product. So we would need to set up a manufacturing facility to build thousands of them.
So there'll be lots of jobs created on the back end to build them.
Yeah.
Unless, of course, you teach robots to build the cafes.
Maybe when we get to like 50,000, we'll do.
Yeah, you'd have to do that. Deepak, you don't seem to be eliminating that many jobs with yours. You eliminate one or two.
We don't eliminate jobs because how many people do you see working in a salad bar in an office cafeteria? Zero, right?
Just the guy spraying the fecal matter.
So then the savings comes how? Oh, you're justifying the savings by people not leaving, but you are eliminating a job, and that somebody would have to sit there and refresh it, and you keep it.
Yeah,
it has to be maintained less because the computer's doing it.
Yeah, let me give you my take on it, right? So
you are eliminating a job. Or hours of work. Yeah, that is the value proposition. You can't say you're not eliminating hours and hours of work because they don't have to refill the station, right?
So the way we think about it is we bring these Sallies to all these offices which don't have a cafeteria right now. There's actually 10 times more offices which don't have a cafeteria than offices with cafeterias.
Okay, so they're not losing a position. But what about the ones that have somebody at it and they say, oh, at Google we have 100 salad bars. We're going to put 100 Sallies in. Now the 10 prep chefs goes to 5. How do you look at that?
Well, what we are hearing from companies like Google and Cisco is they have a central cafeteria and they've got tons of buildings which are far away from the central cafeteria, and people spend 10 minutes walking to the central cafeteria and going back. So they want to keep their central cafeteria as is, but they want to put Sallies in all these other buildings so that people don't spend 10 minutes walking to the central place. So we're actually creating new food service.
Your PR firm has explained to you perfectly how to deflect this question. So I would like to congratulate them. So your position is no jobs will ever be eliminated.
Not with Sally.
Okay. I don't believe you.
I should also add, back in the 1800s, they had the Industrial Revolution, where they were automating things like textiles and transportation and all. And a lot of people were worried about jobs being cut.
You believe this? You don't believe we're going to go to a negative job economy?
Well, it depends on the kind of robot you build. With a robot like Sally, I don't think we are eliminating jobs. But with other types of robots, it's possible.
Maybe Sally 1.0, you can kind of make the argument. I don't believe it because you're not going to stop at Sally 1.0. There's obviously going to be 2.0, 3.0. No technology company says, gosh, we made this 25% more efficient, but we'll stop now.
Yeah, so see, let me show you the exact math, right? We're creating new jobs for people to go and refill the Sallies in all these offices which don't have cafeterias right now.
Right, but those people used to go downstairs to the cafe and get a salad. Anyway, Alex, you were going to add to this.
Well, look, I want to just tackle this question head on because we are adding progressive automation right now, and we're being transparent about it. But we're not eliminating jobs in our company. We're changing and taking boring, repetitive, or dangerous tasks. We're automating those. But then there was a person doing those before. So then what happens to that person?
That's, I think, the intellectual honesty we have to approach this with.
Yeah, and that was part of the social responsibility that we wanted to build into the business. So we invest in retraining. So we already have in our company today, we have 82 employees. We have examples of people who have moved from the kitchen to finance, to catering sales. We have actually one guy in the kitchen who's training to be a software engineer, and we're paying for that retraining.
Let's go through a scenario. There's 30 million people who work in truck driving and retail in some way.
Yep.
I'm not even sure what the numbers are for food service, but that's just the retail front of the house. I don't know what the back of the house is. But let's add another 10 million there, 40 million jobs.
Sure.
Let's say this is year 1 or 2 for each of your companies. We'll fast forward in 10 years, and Moore's Law continues and your ability continues, and 30 million jobs are eliminated here in America. What should we do, Alex?
Well, let me start.
If you were the president.
Let me start by building on what Deepak said, because he was
Yeah.
going down a really important road. So during the Industrial Revolution, there was the automatic loom that was invented, and all the weavers were up in arms because the automatic loom was going to put them all out of business. And in fact, that happened. But what was unexpected was that the price of textiles fell precipitously, and cloth, which was previously really only for rich people, was widely available. And so 3x the number of weavers were created in sewers, who are actually producing garments that were now available to the average consumer.
So you don't buy that 30 million jobs could go away?
No, I think 30 million activities that people are paid for, sure. In your example, 100%, those will go away.
When do you think
But
they
the
go
open
away?
question, hang on, but the open question is, what will they be replaced with, right? How will the nature of work change? And it's not just in the direct replacement of jobs that we think about today. For example, people will need to fill the Sally, people will need to maintain the Sally, right? But there's whole new categories of work, things that we don't think about today, like hosts at the coffee bar, whose job is to create an emotionally satisfying experience for the person getting the coffee. And they can focus all of their attention and time on having a great conversation with that person because they're not operating a piece of equipment.
So if the cafe becomes so profitable, you think you'll hire like a stand-up comedian and a guitar player? I kind of like where we're going with this.
It's not as far-fetched as you're making it sound.
No, I mean, if you're sitting there with Cafe X and let's say it becomes wildly profitable, knock on wood, you could say, wow, we're doing so well. Why don't we add a nice, classical guitarist to this every cafe?
Maybe a DJ.
Or, well, depending on the location.
Yeah.
And they could, you could reinvest it. How do you look at this, job controversy, let's call it? Concern, controversy?
Honestly,
Inevitability.
we're actually like really trying to hire a lot of people right now to do the hospitality part because we're opening a few more locations, and also we're working on setting up manufacturing as well. So that requires hiring a lot of people. And just like it's like from my point of view, it's like we're actually just trying to hire a lot of people.
Okay. Well, this is I think. What I like about this discussion, and Deepak and Alex and Henry, I think it's great that you're honest about it. I think it's great you're working on it. I don't have any problem with it. I think we should eliminate the dead-end, menial, painful jobs. And I think the fact that we're having an honest discussion about it here in Silicon Valley, and I heard just a week or two ago, somebody who works in our government said, we're not concerned about this. It's a 50 to 100.
No, that's not somebody who works in the government. That is the Treasury Secretary.
The Secretary of the Treasury.
Secretary of the Treasury.
Which
he said it's not even on our radar. It's going to be 50 to 100 years before any computer or robot will automate any job.
How stupid was that comment? Okay, let's say this. When will 10 million of these jobs, I'm going to end on this because we like to do our little forecasting here. When will 10 million of these menial jobs in retail, I'll leave out self-driving, just retail and food service. When will 10 million jobs be replaced by robots here in the United States? Pick a year.
2020.
2020.
2020.
I would say around that, yeah.
So in 3 years, 10 million jobs will be replaced by robots, yet our government...
Well, let's be clear, robots. It'll be replaced by automation.
Automation, right. Because when we say robots...
It could be AI, it could be ML, it could be physical robots, it could be machines.
Yeah, I mean, what is the pizza sauce spreader? Is it a robot? It's just automation.
The nature of work has always changed, Jason. It's going to be higher skilled jobs. That's what people have to go after a few years from now, and they need training for that.
But the difference is during the Industrial Revolution, that was an uncurated change, which had social consequence. The choice we get to make now is if we get to curate, because we're looking forward, do we curate this change so it has a lower social consequence?
We can actually, I think that deserves a round of applause. Yes, I agree. We can actually go into this with our eyes open.
Correct.
And think about it. All right, big round of applause for Deepak, Henry, and Alex.
Kicking off, we have Amanda Richardson from HotelTonight. If you don't know HotelTonight, I used it about 14 days ago. It's an amazing, amazing app. And I will give the stage to Amanda.
Thank you. All right. I'm never sure if like the first slot is the good slot or the bad slot, but I will work hard to not disappoint or spill my water all over the stage. Okay. Here we go. So what What I want to talk about today is what for me was a very scary moment of being a small company in a very crowded industry and getting a full-on attack from one of our largest competitors. I think as startup people, as founder people, there are a lot of days where I wake up and I say, God, we're so small. Like, how are we going to do this? But what I want to challenge you with is thinking about your size and your ability to move fast as your superpower, and how you can use that to beat out the big guys and do better, and tell you a little bit about our story and our experience with that. So, about HotelTonight, for those of you who have never heard of us or haven't yet seen what we do, we are a mobile-only tool for booking last-minute hotel rooms. We're not mobile-only because it's cool or the hot thing. We're mobile-only because we believe in an on-demand world, and we believe that if you need a hotel room tonight, the last thing you want to do is pop out a laptop and find Wi-Fi. You're much more likely to go through your phone. We started 6 years ago with 2 or 3 bookings a day, and we've been growing since then. We used to have the market open at 12 noon, so that would mean you couldn't even book for tonight until noon. The reason we did that, truth be told, people thought that was a really great idea, a way of getting a lot of excitement and interest. The honest answer is we did that because we didn't have a system for picking the hotels, and so we had to get people into the office to actually load them into the system. And 12 noon in New York is 9 a.m. here, and we didn't feel like it was right to make them come in at 6 a.m., so they could come in at 8 a.m. So it sounded like a cool idea, but it was really a function of where we were as a business. We then moved to 9 a.m. once we got a magic system that could help pick hotels. Then we evolved into 7 days. Now we do tens of thousands of room nights a day. We have 20 million downloads. We're in 37 different countries. We have a long way to go, but it's been exciting to kind of scale and grow. So these are our competitors. You've probably heard of all of them. One of them spends $450 million a year in TV advertising alone. Fun story, my mom always says, that Trivago guy, he's so nice. Is he your boss? And I always say, no, Mom, he probably doesn't work there. I'm sure he's very nice, but I don't think he works there. He just does their commercials, and I actually work at HotelTonight. I haven't heard of that. So that's kind of life as David in the Goliath world. Other fun fact, one of our competitors spends as much as we do a year in marketing, which is like our biggest line item and a huge expense for us, in a day. Their test budget with Google is our budget with Google for the year. It's a scary space. It's these are very large, very aggressive companies that have done very well. And so this is how we compete, or this is where we compete. It was about 2 years ago, maybe a year and a half ago. We woke up and one of these competitors had announced that they were launching their HotelTonight killer. And it's not that I think the whole world revolves around HotelTonight. That was actually the name of the project in the company. So nothing makes you feel better than being the 75-person startup when they say, we're going to come at you as a HotelTonight killer. They launched their app to the App Store. And a great FU, they bought the am I allowed to say that? They bought the advertising outside of our entrance to our office building with big advertisements of their new app and the best way to book mobile only last minute on the go. I'm not kidding. It was a very scary day. This is terrifying. And I share this because I think this will happen to all of you. All of you, when you are successful, will get attacked. What do? The short version is, we know our customers better, we can move faster, we know what the emotions and the experiences are that our users want, and we can do things differently than the big guys. So while it is really scary to be small, it is advantageous to be small. We could all be smarter, we could all move faster, and we could all do things that don't require scale. So it's ironic that this is the scale stage, because what I want to talk about is don't worry about scale. This is your superpower. As a startup, this is your superpower. Don't forget it. So what do? We spent a lot of time thinking about what our users want. So for those of you who've used the product, this is the last screen of checking out. It's funny that it's the last screen, in our funnel, it's the last screen, it's the conversion point that we all talk about. From a user's perspective, it's just getting started. At that point, they've committed to a hotel and they're just beginning on a stay. So what we think of as the end is actually an opportunity to be a beginning. We've decided we could iterate there, we could understand the emotions and the problems of the stay, and find different ways to really engage with our users and be different. Our first cut at that was a feature called Sweet Talk. So what we decided was, we know users are just getting excited about their stay. How can we really engage with them? How can we create a frictionless experience in the hotel? We're going to have hotels and all the workers in the hotel really engage with the app, be able to offer anything to anyone at any time. It'll be this communal experience in the hotel. That was our first approach to fighting against the competitor who was coming after us in our booking experience. Let's move the ball. We failed. We failed it's probably obvious to you because I have a hard time describing the problem we were solving, which is probably why it failed. It did everything really poorly and nothing particularly well. It was a cool idea. We dog fooded it in the office. We'd use it to order coffee from the coffee bar from each other, and so you could pay a coworker to go make you coffee. It was a fun gimmick, but when you gave it to a user at a hotel, they were like, I don't know what to do with this. So we went back to the drawing board, stayed focused. We said, all right, let's solve one problem really well. Tipping. Tipping is a big friction point in the stay. That's a big problem. It's always awkward. The valet's there. Do you give them $1? Do you give them $5? Do you give them $20? I don't know. There's probably someone here who gives them $100. Not me. But what is that experience? What if you don't have cash? Can we create an interesting cashless experience? I think in hindsight, that was something users talked about as a problem, but it wasn't necessarily a big problem for them. I would also footnote that apparently peer-to-peer cash transactions are fraught with risk around things like prostitution and drugs. So our general counsel kind of blew up that idea, along with some of the financial partners who said, no way are we going to deal with that. So we kept iterating. Now it's been probably 9 months since our competitors bought the advertising, maintained the advertising outside of our door. They continue to promote and do app releases and iterate on features and push forward. Their marketing budgets, again, are at least 100, if not 300 times ours. So we keep moving forward. We continue to go back to our users. We continue to try to understand the emotions and the problems they struggled with. We continue to try to think about what we could do that the competitors couldn't do and how we could create an interesting experience. And so we finally stumbled on a good idea. We ended up building a product or a feature we call HT Pros. So this is a team of concierges, real people who sit behind the system, on our side of the system. They are employed by HotelTonight to really create magical and bespoke stays. So we will do anything you need us to do in a hotel experience that's legal. GC makes me say that. To really create a differentiated experience and to give you a reason to book with HotelTonight that you wouldn't have otherwise when our competitors are coming at us with everything they can. So this is a sample of the interface. The need we're solving for the users is being easy to ask for whatever it is you need to make a great stay. Do you need dinner reservations? Do you need to know what the best coffee shop is nearby? Do you need to know, can you get a double bed? Can you get a late checkout? Can you get early check-in? These are all things we enable with a system, a team of 7 people that are real. We're there to inspire you to have great stays. One of my favorite stories about pros in action, one of our earlier users, we'd been getting all these requests that were, can I get a late check-in? And, nice things like, can you make dinner reservations? Very expected. And then someone wrote in and said, my husband's a huge Nicolas Cage fan. Can I get a Nick Cage poster? Sure. We're here to create magical and bespoke stays. And, in my heart of hearts, I really think this person thought we were just like robots or somehow had pre-programmed answers. So our stellar staff replied back with, Absolutely. What decade would you like? Do you want 80s Raising Arizona? Do you want 90s Wild at Heart? Or do you want more modern, stolen, older Nick Cage? And we made the users' day. They were super stoked that we had the sense to understand the difference. And it's true, it's a true story, can't make that up. Who would pick Nicolas Cage? When I think about what we were doing as a company when we had someone coming after us with hundreds of millions of advertising dollars talking about the booking, and we moved the ball to talk about the stay, create an engaging experience, and do it with a team of people. You could never do this if you do hundreds of millions of bookings a day. We would flood the system. How would you train 75 people to know about Nicolas Cage? How would you even build this? But this is what the beauty of being small is. So on those days when you worry about like, oh, I'm so small, they're so big, they have so much money, these are also opportunities to leverage your superpower and be faster and smarter. So we have 24/7 coverage. We actually have a staff of real people, 7 of them. For those of you who understand 24/7 coverage, there's a minimum number of people you need. So there are certainly hours where it's quiet and low, but we need to be there for the users. I share that because it's not cheap. And so these are employees, this is expensive. When we talked, once we had tested this, a lot of the conversations became, oh, that's awesome. We should charge for it. It's helpful to the users, people will pay for it. And we got a lot of actually external feedback about that. But what we realized was if we were gonna make ourselves different and we were gonna create a differentiated experience, we needed to make it free. So we dug into the numbers. Ultimately, by offering this service, we see a 30% increase in conversion from the hotel list to the booking confirmation. That's huge for us. Because we're offering something different that no one else can offer, we're growing our business. Not only that, once they've used the product, we see a 47% increase in repeat engagement and then a 34% increase in repeat bookings. Engagement's nice, but it doesn't pay the bills. But a 34% increase in repeat bookings for us is huge. Because not only have we convinced a customer to come with a differentiated experience, we've now retained them. So you can pretty quickly do the math to see that the ROI on this team of 7 people is 3, 4, 5x. It's been an excellent program for us. And I think I share the story because it's a win. It's nice to talk about wins, but I think it's an important lesson for all of us around not worrying about scale. Thinking about how you can do something differently from your competitors. Again, the big companies would say, absolutely, let's charge for this. We'll charge $5 and we'll get this percentage take rate and we can figure out the revenue lines, but you're small. You can think different. You can be more creative and you can really expand your minds around what you can do differently that you don't have to worry about with scale. So we've used it as a way to differentiate our experience and establish our brand. We've used it as a way to grow our repeat customer base. And ultimately, we've got people who are getting Nick Cage posters that they never could get before. And so that's probably a win for the world. My takeaways, and then here's the bottom line. So every story has a silver lining. This was the notification in the app that went after us about 14 months after they launched. They ended up shutting down, pulling it from the App Store. They couldn't figure out how to make it work. It's a nice ending to a really terrifying experience. And when we saw this, we pulled up the email we had sent to the company on the day they launched that said, "Don't worry, we'll be stronger. We're going to put our heads down and work harder and be smarter, and it'll be fine." And it was funny. It worked out. So it will be okay. Focus on your superpower. Know your users, and think about your differentiation. So that's the story I wanted to share about us scaling. I've got about 5 minutes and 30 seconds for questions.
So quickly, if you have a question, we have 2 mics right here, so you can just kind of make your way up there. And I'll just kick it off with one question. So
yeah.
I'm curious how you think about sort of emerging technologies and trends. So I imagine self-driving cars might change the way that especially like roadside hotels, will probably not exist or not be as prevalent. And then in terms of trends, things like Airbnb that sort of change the way that that people stay. So I'm curious how you think about those things on a longer horizon of what your business looks like in 5 to 10 years.
Yeah, Yeah, so I think there will always be a place for people needing a place to stay. Our business and Airbnb are actually dramatically different. We do last minute, shorter length stays. Our demographic tends to be a little bit wealthier, a little bit older. There's our longer length of stay, more advanced bookings. I think it's very symbiotic. I think there are definitely times when you would want to stay in either place. But we do watch emerging trends. I mean, I think as it relates to this story, one of the things that we've talked a lot about internally is the rise of chatbots and artificial intelligence as a way to communicate with users. And we've seen that come up. Lola's a company, and there are a couple of others that are specifically in the travel industry that are trying to automate the booking experience with robots. Maybe. I think there's an opportunity there. We'll see how it plays out. But I think we're winning right now because we have real people. So I think it's always a balance as startups knowing what is an interesting opportunity long-term to keep an eye on versus where do you dump all your resources in right now. So those are two things we think about. I mean, the self-driving cars and how that's changing real estate is a really interesting conversation. But that'll be a fun one. Yeah, that'll change everything. Yeah.
How did you decide whether to put the HT Pros conversation in the app or just like with Uber where I get this random number text message? Does that make sense? Like,
No.
Did you mention, so is your text conversation between customer and your pro team in your app?
Oh, okay. So question was, how did you decide to make the interface in the app versus making it in through iMessage or another system? We decided to do it in the app because we wanted it to be part of the experience so that it's contextually relevant to when you're looking for information about the hotel or engaging with the hotel. We do send you a push notification that you've gotten a message as a way of making you aware of what's happening in the app experience. We didn't go with SMS. iMessage is kind of hard to integrate with. And then there's just a number of tools and then or a number of systems that are complicated to interact with. And Again, we watch messengers a lot. I think it'll be interesting to see where conversations move and if there is a world where we all are engaging and working through, Facebook Messenger or WeChat or whatever it is, and there's like headless apps. That'll be an interesting trend. I will tell you the users are not there yet. Our users aren't there yet. Yeah.
So you talked about that conversation you had where people were saying, look, users will pay for this, we should charge. And then you talked about, look, it was providing value to your business, right? And by implication, maybe even more value, and you kind of implying some of that value might come off or charging for it because things would drop off. I was curious about that a little more, and if it were comparable value, like, I guess that's the way to handle the person who's making the criticism or giving the advice, but what if they came back to you and said, if the conversation would go further and they'd press you on it, like compare those two, like how much is which, and like how would you handle that?
Yeah. So the question is, with the conversation we had with various internal people and board members around charging versus not charging. If pressed, I can, based on kind of industry competitors and adoption rates of premium services, you can pretty quickly see in the math that just even $5 of friction is enough for users to not adopt at a rate. I think the other thing that it does is it creates an expectation within the user base around how different and great that service needs to be. It's not a knock that we don't have a great service, but I think if you're paying $5 for an in-app concierge and it takes me 4 minutes to get a recommendation to you versus 30 seconds, you're going to get pissed. And I don't blame you. We're now charging for it. So I think it doesn't just impact the top line number, but it's also what you need to do for the experience to make it different, and how that changes the expectations of the users, and potentially even what users are that are coming in. Yeah.
When you talk about tapping into the emotion of the users and getting to know their pain points, what tactics did HotelTonight deploy to understand the emotions of the users?
Yeah, question is, what tactics did we use to understand the emotions of our users? So I'm a huge fan of user testing. I believe passionately in user testing, and that's a word I actually use incorrectly, user interviews. So every other week we have 5 to 8, depending on candidly what our no-show rate is. Users and non-users come into the office. We'll talk to them about their travel patterns, what they like, what they don't like, where they book, where they don't book. We recruit from Facebook. We recruit, like Facebook ads. We recruit from Craigslist. We try to find all sorts of different ways of getting people in the audience. The other thing that I do that is, two things I do that are both like good and like terrible. One is I read all the customer service logs that come in, so I'm on every customer service help ticket. There are certainly patterns that you can pick up pretty quickly, but you also see where users are frustrated. The other thing we do is, I'm a huge believer in Net Promoter Score, and so we survey 1,000 customers every week. Those Net Promoter Score pieces are aggregated and then sent to the entire executive team every Monday morning. So that's why I say it's good and bad. Like you're like high-fiving over great numbers on a weekend, and then Monday morning it fills your inbox with like, you suck because. But you got to keep it real, and you got to keep that voice of the user in. So those are our 3 techniques. Yeah, am I done?
Let's do one more.
One more, okay.
What are some of the best re-engagement tactics that you've seen?
For
once you've acquired a user, for keeping them in your funnel and in your loop.
So best re-engagement tactics that we've seen, I mean, honestly, it's the oldies but the goodies. Emails just kills it. I don't know why people still read email. Like, you all still read email, even though we're going to this like Messenger Slack world. Like, people still use email a lot. We also try to find reasons for you to want to come back. So we have some features in the app around watching different markets, watching different rates, watching different hotels that give us a reason to message you with very like relevant, timely information. So, all right, cool. Well, thank you all. This was a ton of fun.